Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey guys, and welcome to Easy Does It. In this show, we talk about staple concentrates and its application, any potential subs for this concentrate, and also simple and popular recipes that you can use this concentrate in. Okay, so last week we spoke about vanilla swirl, and we touched on jelly candy. So we thought it would just be apt if we carry on that conversation from, jelly candy. So what we discussed last week was that if you want to pair a new fruit that you've gotten in or fruit that's unknown to you to either a candy or a cream, you'd probably look at jelly candy from CAP, or you'd look at vanilla swirl TFA, as a good place to begin. To see if this fruit is gonna blend better with the candy or into a candy, or blend better with if that's what you're trying to do, if you're trying to blend with the cream. So that's where we were. Just some interesting facts on jelly candy. So of course, what people are saying is in recipes on ELR is that it's mixed at 2.6% median in some recipes, and then a single flavor 6.1%, right? And that just goes to show here how the information on the internet is not reliable, So as a beginner mixer, you would go and you would take this information and you would take jelly candy and you would try it out at anything over 2% or 2.6 or even 3% because you want a little bit more jelliness to it. And it will probably be straight up soap, But it just goes to show what information is out there. So I'm going to actually just give it to you guys. I've got a couple ways of how I make use of jelly candy. But let's hear out first, what you guys use it for. Richard, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, this for me is if you are into candies at all, jelly candies, this for me would be the first concentrate to buy. And the reason I like this is that it's not a flavor, it's a texturizer. Unlike things like FW Swedish Fish or CAP 27 fish or other jelly candies like that, this one doesn't come with that generic red cherry Swedish Fish gummy sort of vibe happening to it. It's just a texturizer. It gives you that chewy, fluffy, sort of syrupy, sticky mouthfeel that a jelly candy does, and it gives you a reasonable approximation of that kind of dusty sugar coating that you get on some candies. And that is just the texture that you apply to whatever fruit it is that you want to turn into a candy. I've used it with things like Inawera Shisha Orange. It just works fantastically with that. You just bang the two together and you've got yourself an orange jelly tot or an orange wine gum. So if you're at all into the soft candy realm, CAP jelly candy would be the first staple that I would buy. For sure, go into the Swedish Fish or the 27 Fish or the gummy candies or whatever after that, but make jelly candy your first flavor that you buy.
So Richard, on that, right, I went to go and check on ELR. I don't know if you can just quickly pull it up on ATF, but on ELR, funny enough, only 6,150 recipes, right, contained CAP jelly candy.
Okay, ATF is a little bit more restrained. It's used in 683 recipes. at an average of 2.121. Now, that already is too high for me.
It's too high.
Yeah, I tend to use jelly candy anywhere from 1 to 1.5. 2 is, I suppose you could,
therapy. Yeah.
yeah, I can push it to 2 without getting into vomitous, nasty chemical funk, but I wouldn't. One and a half max works for me. Anything more than that, and it just, that chemical note just takes over. And the thing is, it works at 1.
It works at 1.
It gives you that chew. You just want that chewiness, that stickiness, and it does that. So there's no reason to go high. You're not getting any more prominent flavor. Your flavor is coming from whatever the fruit you're putting with it. You just want that textural additive.
Yeah, when before I was even considering developing recipes and I was just mixing up recipes, I can remember in the WhatsApp group where myself and Richard is part of, Richard was saying that, he's going to make a couple of candies this weekend just by mixing up, single flavors with, some gummy candy or jelly candy. And that's going to be his weekend. And I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, how simple is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's typically what you want to be telling, or what you want to hear as a beginner mixer that is always interested in developing recipes right off from the start. Is if you're interested in candies, right? If you're interested in sweet candies, then this is something that you should be playing around with, because this is definitely one of the most interesting ones for me. Dietz, you also had something that you wanted to mention on it?
It's good to see you guys remembered everything I told you to say, so I can keep it short now. Pretty much what you guys said, just not as well put as Rich did. You're always very good. I would say, like you said, merging, I've not used it over 1%. Personally, I don't like it. I've used it in one recipe above, or maybe at 1%. I use it as an additive, so specifically to replace, or not replace, but sub. Recently, the juicy peach that I talked about recently, that I used to blend fruits better. The fruit, this jelly candy does it very well at 0.25% for me, or 0.2%. So I like it as a little bit of a blender. So there's 3 now that I would use with fruits. First one was dragon fruit. The second one was peach juicy, or juicy peach. And I think it's peach juicy, and jelly candy. Very good additive or blender.
Yeah, so I read people also talking about that, Dietz. So, for molding fruits together, you know what I mean? So if you're interested in taking 2 fruits, putting them together, but you actually want, some kind of candiness to mold them together because you're currently experiencing them as quite separate, then go ahead and use jelly candy. Another thing I use it for is in my sodas, and we'll talk about the recipes later. I've seen somebody else also use it as a soda. So, a little bit of WS-23 plus a little bit of jelly candy. So when I say a little bit, I'm talking about nothing over 1%. So, in the territory of 0.5 to 0.7, it kind of gives you enough texture. But, because when you're drinking a soda, you're not getting like a full-blown mouth feel like you would with a creamy dessert, right? You're just getting a refreshing sort of light experience, in your mouth. So so a little bit of jelly candy gives you that texture, like Richard said. The little bit of WS-23 is going to give you that coolness, or sell that cool effect. So, I think it really works well in sodas, or creating a soda without adding or trying to do it effervescent, or trying to do some kind of champagne in there. You can get away with a little bit of jelly candy and WS23. Okay, so 0.7 for soda, or 0.5 to 0.7 for soda. At 1%, you're going into the jelly realm, into the gummy realm. At 2%, you need to start getting careful, because I think anything over 2%, so 2.5%, it's going to be soapy. The soapy notes are starting to come through. So this is 100% just an additive. Another interesting use of jelly candy is when you have a fruit and you've got a cream, and you want the fruit to come out a little bit more, almost like we just spoke now about mango sticky rice, and how we weren't quite sure if the mango is inside the rice, or if it's sitting on top of the rice, So, I mean, that's not a cream. So, but I'm just giving an example here. If you've got a fruit plus a cream, but you actually want the fruit to stick out a little bit more, using a little bit of jelly candy now, very low, so 0.3 to 0.5% can make that fruit peak a little bit better. Okay, so it kind of like cuts the cream, and brings out the fruit a little bit more. So then you get the experience, or you're selling the experience that, you've got a separate fruit plus a cream. So almost if you want to create a strawberry cream recipe where you're eating cream and fresh strawberries, something like that, opposed to a blended strawberry cream.
Another thing is just be very careful what fruits you mix it with. Anything that's perfumey or floral, jelly candy is not going to work. Don't try it with FA guava or any of these fruits that have like a strongly floral or perfumey top note. It's just going to destroy it. I like going for the jammier and more syrupy type fruits. In a shisha orange, it works great. I would imagine it would work really well with something like Flavora boysenberry, which has got quite a syrupy dark feel to it anyway. Jelly candy just brings that out beautifully. But where you've got those perfumey high notes like lychees, some of the guavas, avoid it there, because that's not going to work well. But that's something that you will just need to find with experimentation, where it works for you, which fruits work for you and which ones don't.
Yeah, but I can recommend this for playing around with. Most definitely playing around with this is a lot of fun. So I'm quickly going to talk about just some of the recipes. I've got 2 recipes that I use it, and I'll link them below. The one is I call it Grobvarp, but it in actual fact is just a grape soda. Right, I'll link that below. Another one I call Missionary, and it's grape and strawberry soda. But both of those recipes I use jelly candy WS23. So jelly candy is used to add a little bit of texture, and the fruits and the fruits does the rest of the trick there. All right. However, I also found another recipe here, which is a cap jelly candy flavor book entry by Enya Ricklaw. So Wayne, and he did a pink lemonade. We also used jelly candy. So it's not just me being crazy. Somebody else is also doing the same thing. Any other recipes that you guys know of where this is used, other than playing around with it?
Nope.
Right.
I generally find out how this works by playing around with it before I try recipes. I don't know. Like I said, I don't mix the hype stuff or the stuff that's popular. So I try and just buy stuff and figure it out, or try and work it in. That's the way I learn with the concentrates.
Yeah, and this is a fun one to do that with. So on subs, I mean, I went in previous podcast when we had the Vaping Scumbag crew together. I went on a whole jelly journey. It sounds good, right? And I tried a few gummy candies and jelly candies, but jelly candy for me was the one that which I could apply in many different ways more successfully. However, the only other one that I felt came very close to it, it's got a little bit more fruity notes to it, so you have to be careful which fruits you pair it with, but also does a good job with creating texture, and also does a good job with creating candies, right? I don't think it does a great job with creating sodas. Is 27 Bears. Okay. It is different. It is different though, but for the purpose of playing around and creating jelly candies, it also does a pretty good job. So I can recommend that. And if you want to mix up a jelly recipe or jelly candy recipe and you don't have cap jelly candy, but you have to absolutely do it now and you've got 27 Bears, I think it's worth a go. It's not going to work in every single scenario, of course, but what is, Richard, what is your go-to jelly combination?
Sorry, I was muted there. I've used jelly candy a bit with FW Swedish Fish. I use them both quite low. And what they do is they just complement each other. So you get double that sort of chewiness. The Swedish Fish brings its own flavor, but it's not a bad flavor in my view. It's got that sort of generic red jelly vibe going on. And it's low enough that you can bully it out of the way with a strong fruit, again, like the Inuera Shisha Orange or something like that. You can make that as your top note with the jelly candy and the Swedish Fish sitting underneath it. So that's quite a good pairing in my view, because they both the Swedish Fish and the jelly candy are quite potent. If you get up high with them, it's going to ruin your juice. So this allows you to just take it down a fraction and still get that nice chewy mouthfeel, but without going too high in your percentages. So that's probably my go-to. It's not something, jelly candy for me is not really something that I would ever think of batching a juice and going through a dozen different variations to release. It's a throw together mix. You're on a Friday night, you want something for the weekend, just bang together a fruit and jelly candy. Some of them work, some of them don't, but it's a light and a fun mix that you just whip together and then forget about it after that. It's not something that you're going for heavy layering and getting the flavor profile absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cool, guys. Anything else, Deets? Have you got a go-to gummy candy, or that's not your thing?
No, not really. No, not one go-to. No.
Cool, man. Okay, that pretty much then wraps up the show, guys. Also, just remember, actually, if you do have a stone gummy, base that you like, please comment that below. Let the guys know what you guys are using. Also, if there's any questions on what fruits do work, on what fruits you're planning on mixing together with cap jelly candy, you can put those in the comments and we'll get back to you. But thank you so much for watching the show, and we'll keep the shows coming. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.